Your success is not contingent on how happy you are, how energetic you are, or how excited you are, because you are a CEO. And that means all of you is required in this business. You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you've come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in. Hey y'all, welcome back to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, and when you're listening to this, I am actually on my honeymoon. I'm in an infinity pool somewhere in Mexico, enjoying the fuck out of my honeymoon with my new husband. I hope that you love this episode this week because it is punchy. It is very punchy. Whenever I have episodes like this, it usually comes from me like seeing something online or having a call with a client where I really drove it home for them. I can be extremely direct, extremely bold, and I honestly think that it's a coach's job to call out your client's ego, to call out the things that you're seeing, even if it potentially pisses them off. I've had numerous occasions where there are coaches and mentors that I've worked with who have called me out on things, of course, with trust and of course with love, because here's the thing, if somebody is calling you out and there's not that foundation of trust, this is the reason why relationships are so important when it comes to you and your clients. If the trust is not there, it can be really hard to communicate to your client what you need to communicate to them because that trust isn't built. So let me just say that whenever I am really direct and honest with the client, it's always with support and love in a supportive way and always aimed at calling them into their power and calling them to their highest self, right? It's not to crap all over them. It really is calling them into their highest self because that is my job. It's my job as their coach to not just see you where you're at, but to instead see your potential and help you get there. So let's talk about pushing. Let's talk about hustling, because you would think that this is a dirty fucking word in the online space because of how people have really glorified this soft girl era, the calm girl era. And let me tell you, this girl loves relaxing. This girl loves lying on the couch, watching Netflix. There have been an influx of shows over the past couple of months. I'm very overwhelmed. Like, shows that I need to catch up on. I really want to watch One Day. I really want to catch up on season 2 of Tell Me Lies. I really want to watch The Perfect Couple. I just finished Selling Sunset. I binged The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives in like 2 days. I need to watch the new season of Outer Banks. Like, there are just so many things that are coming out, and I get overwhelmed because I love to watch TV. I love to sit on the couch after a long week, and I love to do some gardening. If you know what that means, then you know what that means. And I love to just like chill and watch TV. So I'm not saying that you can't rest, right? You need to relax your nervous system. You need to learn how to rest and recharge. You guys know that I'm a nervous system regulation girly. I'm all about healing. I do breath work every single month with my clients. I have subconscious resources for my clients so they can heal, work through their emotional reactions, grow their emotional intelligence and resilience. And still, I think that the online space is notorious for not being able to see two sides of the spectrum and how they work together. It's kind of like that masculine and feminine energy. In business, everybody needs both. And this is not at all about gender. This is about energy. This is about the fact that if you do not have a natural balance of masculine and feminine energy in your business, you're going to feel unbalanced, and things are going to be unbalanced because you need them both. You need the feminine flow, you need the openness, you need that trust in yourself, you need that power that comes from the feminine flow without restriction, but you also need the masculine. You need the structure, you need the leadership, you need that order. And I've always been very, very masculine, and it wasn't until I started incorporating the feminine and really learning how to balance them both that I started to feel really good inside of my business, like I knew what I was doing, and I wasn't burning out at all. I was so on top of things, but did not feel overwhelmed. I didn't feel stressed. I didn't feel behind. I never had those feelings of not being good enough, etc. once I tapped into that feminine side of myself and feminine side of the business as well. So today I want to talk to you more about the hustling side of things, about the pushing side of things, because there are a lot of instances where people are just not pushing themselves inside of their business. They're not challenging themselves, and a part of growing a business and really seeing things through and taking risks is all a part of being an entrepreneur. So the example that I want to give you today is working out. Okay, so I'm somebody who works out because I know that it's good for me. I know it's important to work out. Honestly, I need to add some structure and routines into the week because I work from home. So it's so healthy for me to be able to get up, get ready, go to a workout class. It gets me out of the house because, again, I'm a certified homebody. Like, I could stay in my house forever. There was a time where I had my Peloton. I did give it to my parents, so they have it for now, but when I had it, I did not leave my house for like a week and a half in the wintertime because I literally didn't need to. Like, I have a Chihuahua. Hugo can't go for walks in the snow. He gets too cold. And there's just no reason to leave my house sometimes. Like, I can get groceries delivered, all that jazz. So it's actually crazy how long I could go without leaving my fucking house. But now that I'm working out at this new hot yoga studio that opened this year, I go like 4 to 5 times a week. It gets me out of the house, but I wouldn't say that working out is my thing. I don't love it. I do it because I know that it is good for me and it's important and I should. And I do it because like I feel better and more balanced when I do it. Okay. And I also want to give another example of like scheduling my content. Even though sometimes I'm like, oh, I gotta do content. Fuck, I have to do it for next week. I always feel better knowing that I did it. So it's the same concept here. And in my hot yoga classes, it can really feel like a push sometimes. It depends where I am in my cycle, how strong I feel, how I'm feeling. And whenever I push myself past that point of I need to get out of this pose or I need to relax right now, I push through, even if it's just 1% longer, even if I hold the pose for like a little bit longer. And I do that because it's a mental game. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people will see it as I can't hold this pose any longer, and they give in before their actual physical self gives in. They give in because their brain is telling them to give in. And the same thing will go for your business. You can push yourself to the point of, I am putting the work in. I'm creating this Instagram story to sell. I'm going to say something that's a little out there for me, but I know that the more I say it, the more I'll get comfortable with saying it. Okay, so for example, me sharing my income online was something that was not super comfortable for me. And to be honest, it still can be kind of like, am I flaunting this? Right? But I knew that when I saw other people sharing their income and how they made it and all of that, I get really inspired. I think it's fucking badass. I knew that I wanted to share it in a way that felt in integrity for me and something that I know is going to be so inspiring for my potential clients. But it was still super uncomfortable, for me to flaunt that, to talk about it. But the more I did it, the more I realized how it's just not that big of a deal. Like, no one gives a fuck. But I needed to push past that point of I don't need to say this, or I don't need to do this, or this is a little bit uncomfortable. There are so many things now in our everyday lives that we have access to that can push away discomfort, right? That can truly stop us from needing to feel anything at fucking all, like anything at all. We can self-medicate, we can avoid, we can scroll, we can distract ourselves to no end. And this is actually a fawning response, a freeze response to taking risks, to doing things that feel uncomfortable. But the more you push past that feeling of, I can't believe I'm doing this, I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm doing this thing that I've never done before, like going live, selling hard on your Instagram stories, asking a client if they're going to resign, or investing in the coach whose content you can't stop consuming, even though the investment feels like a stretch, right? And every time you do this, you give yourself a confidence boost. I was talking about planning your content and scheduling your content a bit earlier, and it seems like such a minor thing, but when you actually do it, you feel so good and organized. You feel like you don't need to expel any creative energy that day because you already have something going out, a piece of content that's going out, and you don't realize how that can impact the longevity of your business. You don't realize how that can impact the confidence that you feel. Even if it feels like it's a bit of a stretch for you to schedule your content and it's going to take you a little bit more time and you're like convinced you don't have the time. And I know more than anybody that there are some weeks where, again, depending on my cycle, depending on how I'm feeling, it can be hard to get that content done because it's like a couple reels or 4 posts and emails, and it can feel like a lot. And depending how good you are with your mindset and your self-talk, getting that stuff done is not always a walk in the park. But the resilience that you will build and the more effective you will be, the more results you will see in your business when you learn how to push past that point of I'm uncomfortable or I need to stop now. And again, if we take it back to the example of working out, you will figure out the difference between pain and just discomfort by doing this. When I'm in yoga, there are certain things that I know are going to actually cause me pain and potentially lead to an injury versus this is just uncomfortable, right? Holding a certain pose is uncomfortable, but holding a different pose, I'm like, oh, this really doesn't feel good on my knees or something like that, right? But also, I have really tight hips and stretching those out, like some days it can feel a lot better and sometimes I can't push it past the point that I could before. But you learn the difference. You learn the difference between this is just uncomfortable or I actually shouldn't be doing this. And this is the side effect of learning to push past discomfort and learning when something is uncomfortable. You're also so much more in tune with your gut feelings, with your intuition, with that feeling of, I know that this is something that is stretching me versus I can't do this. Whenever somebody asks, how do you know the difference between something you should do and something you shouldn't do? Even if you're scared, does this feel expansive? Does it feel like there is a future in this? Does it feel like if I were to do this, I would have more confidence? Would I get XYZ result? Or does it feel like I wouldn't want the repercussions of this? I wouldn't want to deal with whatever comes from this. And this is why a lot of you are like, I know I'm on the edge of something big, but it's up to you to push yourself over that edge because you know, and you can see into the future, like this is going to be so good for me, right? And that's why you feel compelled to do those things, even if it's a bit scary. Also, how you can know where something is just not for you is like, again, it feels expansive if it is for you, but it feels like restrictive and you feel small if it is not. I was coaching a client in the From Imposter to Empowered program, and she was saying how she knows if she goes all in, if she creates the offers that she's really been wanting to create, if she takes these actions, if she does all of this, even though she's busy and has a child and all of these things, she would blow up. And she's just scared. She's scared about what her capacity is and if she can handle it when she does blow up. But that is when you know you need to push past the point of discomfort. It's so easy to sit in your comfort zone. It's so easy to be at that same level of income, even if it's fucking zero, right? It's so easy to be at the same visibility level and to do the same things over and over again every day, telling yourself, I'm being consistent, I'm doing the things, but are you actually stretching yourself and meeting those expectations you have for your future? When you own an online business, things are always changing. And if you are not growing, you are staying still and you can become stagnant so fast. And this is not to say that you can't relax, you can't rest, you can't take a sabbatical, you can't take time to yourself and enjoy the holidays. Like I'm literally on holiday right now as we speak. I take time off all the time, take tons of time off, and I never feel like I'm slowing down or anything like that at all. And that's because I am so intentional about how I spend my time in the business when I'm actually in the business. I know that even though it's scary to think, especially as someone who stutters, about doing podcast interviews, going live, putting myself out there, or creating a new offer, you might think, oh my God, well, someone who's been doing it for such a long time, it's so easy for them to just think of an idea and then sell an offer. But there's always the unknown. There's always the possibility that this thing isn't going to work out. There's always the possibility that nobody is going to buy, nobody's going to join, I'm going to have a really hard time like speaking on that podcast episode, etc. You know, it's still scary and I still feel vulnerable, right? But the difference is I've gotten so good at learning how to push past that point of discomfort and to see it as this does not mean that it's wrong. It just means that it's new, it's scary, it's something that I feel a bit uncomfortable with, but I'm going to learn how to be comfortable with this because it is my next level, right? And I also just want to say, as someone who is a low energy girly, okay, I love to rot. I love relaxing. Literally, as I wrote this episode, I was in my bed because I love being in my bed, right? And I've actually started getting B12 shots, which are amazing. They definitely help with my energy. They definitely help with my sleep. So I highly, highly recommend those. But through and through, I'm a low energy girly. And all I can say is you got to do it tired, because if you're someone like me, if you have ADHD or low energy, if you're waiting for the perfect time in your cycle, the perfect time for you to show up, be visible, to create your content, to create the offer, to create the masterclass, create the program, and you keep saying, I'm not going to do it today, I'm too tired. If you keep putting off the things that you should be doing in your business, you need to cut that shit out right now, because you can do it tired. I grew a multiple six-figure business, even with a full-time job, even with having pets and a very busy social life and all the things. I don't have any children yet, so I get it. It's a different kind of tired, but you can still do it tired. You can do it on low energy. You can do it on low sleep. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Because the thing is, it becomes a part of your life, right? It's not just something that you start and stop. And if you have that attitude, we talk about this in my consistent bitch masterclass, only allowing yourself and your business to thrive when you're in a perfect mood, when you feel good, that's only going to set you up for failure, right? Like that is going to get you starting and stopping all of the time. You can do it tired. You can do it uncomfortable. You can do it when you don't feel 100%. You can do it when you're in a bad mood, because your success is not contingent on any of that. Your success is not contingent on how happy you are, how energetic you are, or how excited you are, because you are a CEO. And that means all of you is required in this business. That also means pushing the limits of your humanness. It means allowing yourself to be a whole ass human and make a lot of money. It means being more emotionally resilient than most people and recognizing that discomfort is actually your greatest teacher. You can push a little bit harder. You can hustle a little bit if it's going to create the life that you've always wanted, if it's going to create the business that you've always wanted. I am so grateful to the version of me that was working full time and would come home and work on the business, because even though she was figuring out her mindset, she was figuring out her emotional regulation, she was figuring out how to be a good business owner, she pushed through even when she had a lot of doubt and was unsure of herself, because she could see the bigger vision. And that's what I want for you. I want you to see the bigger vision for yourself. I want you to see your highest self on the other side of things. And sometimes that means pushing. Sometimes that means hustling. Sometimes that means just getting the job done, because your future is worth it. You are not special, my love. You are not special, which means that there is nothing written in stone that says you can't be successful. And the most successful people in the online space, my most successful clients, it's not that they are more special than anybody else. It's not like they have some unique skills that other people don't. It's because they are willing to do what it takes. They're willing to do the mindset work. They're willing to check their ego. They're willing to put the work in. They're willing to invest in themselves. They're willing to do what it takes. And you have that. You just need to activate it. I hope this was everything that you needed to hear. If it's something you already do and just needed reinforcement, I hope this fired you the fuck up. And if this is something you really needed to hear because you know you need to step into it, again, I hope it fired you the fuck up. I am so excited for November, you guys. I'm doing a big Black Friday sale when that time comes around, so make sure you follow me on Instagram at YourCoachJill. And if you head there now, you'll probably catch some content from Mexico, so come over there and see that, okay? I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next week in November. Hey babe, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Screenshot it and put it on your stories and tag me at YourCoachJill. And if you really love me, you'll rate and review the podcast. And if you screenshot it before you submit the review and send it to me, I will send you a free gift on me. If you want to take this work deeper, come and work with me in the From Imposter to Empowered program or the Real Deal Mastermind. And finally, if you want just a snippet of my work to feel what it's like to be in my world, then you need to buy my best-selling book, You're Not Special, and you can get that on Amazon. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next week.